What's going on, money makers? This is Leo with DRIPCalc, and today I want to talk about BITO, my new favorite ETF. So over the weekend, BITO has announced their largest dividend to date, and it comes in at $1.76, almost 77 cents per share. Now, BITO was trading at about $27.30 before the announcement, and today is an ex-dividend date, so the price of BITO is down a little bit since then to basically account for that dividend, because if you bought it today, you will not receive June dividend. But again, this is their largest dividend yet, and in this video I want to talk about owning BITO, if you should buy it now, how much I think it will return over a longer period of time, what are the prospects for it, and a little bit of my personal journey with BITO, because I have invested in it since the inception, basically on the day of IPO at $42. However, I am sitting pretty nicely today because I was investing into this stock over here at lower valuations, and I was reinvesting my dividends. So anyway, let's jump into it. But before we do that, I ask you to please like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification button if you want to receive more videos like this, and this will help our channel grow tremendously. So thanks in advance, and let's begin. Okay, so far BITO has paid about $8.57. Scroll all the way down over here, actually $8.78, and that includes dividend which will be paid out at the end of this week, okay, on June 6th. Anyway, so if you invested in BITO 2.5 years ago, or at inception at $42, or just about, you're sitting down about 7% if you reinvested your dividends, and down 16% if you didn't reinvest. However, for example, let's say you started buying BITO right over here at the end of 22, beginning of last year, then today you would be sitting on like almost 100% return in dividends alone, and about 180% in the price returns. And if you reinvested, your returns would be much higher than that. So anyway, your returns depend on when you started getting into this fund. Now, the main question for me, as well as other investors, will this fund perform as it did before? And to a large extent, it actually depends on the price of Bitcoin. So if we look at BITO dividend chart, their first dividend was on February 2023. So if we look at a corresponding Bitcoin chart, so because BITO invests in Bitcoin futures, so they invested into January contract right over here at somewhere around $16,000, $16,600, and then Bitcoin really went up. It went up from 16 to 24,000. So that's how they were able to afford their first dividend, because they finally, for the first time, made money. So the first dividend was 15 cents. All right. Now, the inception of BIT was somewhere over here. Okay, but basically for most of this time, Bitcoin was going down. Sure, there was like a small jump over here. So I'm not really sure why they didn't pay a dividend over here, but they didn't. And Bitcoin continued going down. There was FTX somewhere over here. So Bitcoin went down even more. And then finally, when the whole ChatGPT mania began and all the AI stocks began rallying, Bitcoin also took off, and it's been going up ever since. And so BITO has been paying dividends. Now, there was a month when they actually didn't pay dividend, or it was very, very small. So if we check over here, yeah, basically it was like half a cent over here in September. And if we look at the chart of Bitcoin, what happened in September, Bitcoin price went down compared to August. So they actually sold or invested in a Bitcoin future somewhere over here, and the Bitcoin price went down, so they didn't make any money, but it's been going up. Okay, so basically this gives you a gist of how BITO makes money. They invest in Bitcoin futures. If for that month they're positive, they have made money and they're able to pay you dividend. Okay, and this brings us basically to looking at BITO as future investment. Now, here's my thesis for investing in BITO long term. So I think Bitcoin long term will go up. And history shows that it's going up long term. If we look, there is no all time, but you know, it started at like pretty much 5 cents, and now it's almost $70,000. There are people who say it will go down to $300,000. There are people who say it will go up to $1 million. All right. However, what we need to also keep in mind is that every couple of years we have a crypto winter, which actually usually lasts more than 2 years. Usually we have like a year and a half of a bull run, and then 2.5 years of crypto winter, and then the cycle repeats. So right now we're in a crypto bull run, and I would expect Bitcoin to either stay flat more or less or continue going up, and therefore BITO should be making decent returns and should be able to pay dividends. Now, when I feel that Bitcoin is about to drop, that the Bitcoin winter is upon us, maybe it is time, for me at least, to either sell my holdings or to sell long-dated covered calls to basically protect my downside. And so now let's talk a little bit about my journey with BITO. Now, as I said, I bought it right over here at $42. What I did immediately is I sold a covered call for 18 bucks. Let me show you. So here is my Robinhood history for BITO, and as you can see, on October 21st, so this is the IPO or inception date, I buy 100 shares of BITO at $42.77, and then a few minutes later I sell a cover call for $18.10, and this is out until what's the expiration, I don't even remember, but it's more than a year out. It doesn't matter this time. Basically I receive a credit of $18, and basically this brings my average down to $26. Okay, and then a few minutes later I buy another 100 shares for about the same price, and I sell another call for a lower amount. So as the trading began, I'll show you, it's very interesting. As the trading began, the options prices started dropping really fast. So over here I sold the $64 call for 18 bucks, and a few minutes later on the same day I sell a lower strike call for less money, significantly less money. So I should have probably done both of them at the same time, collect a bigger credit for the call. But anyway, I buy another 100 shares, I sell another call. This time it's for 13 bucks. So now my average is $26 and $29, so about 27.5. Okay, now let's go back over here. So I am somewhere over here. So my total investment is already not 10,000, it's already like 7 if we prorate everything, because I received a really nice credit for those covered call options, and basically they expired worthless eventually. And I did buy them back for around $2-3, so I didn't collect 100% of that money. I did play a little bit more with covered calls. I basically never got assigned because price of BITO kept going down. It was at some point down like 80% from 42 to below 10. All right, so that's my part of my journey. So after that, I don't think I actually bought a lot over here, maybe like a couple shares, but I was like sitting on it. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Bitcoin $15,000, FTX this and that, FFTX, you know. So, but then all of a sudden, Bitcoin starts going up a little bit. They pay a dividend. I'm like, maybe there is something to this thing. And so at first I begin reinvesting my dividends, and then over here in April and May I actually start buying some shares. And not only that, I'll show you right over here, I also buy this time, not sell, but buy 3 covered calls at a $15 strike and going into January 2025. So if I had those calls today, they would expire next year. All right, so I spent an average of $269 per option, because there is 3 options, so that's $269 per share. So my break-even price is $17.69. And then like last month I actually exercised one of those calls, and at the end of May I exercised another 2 calls. So basically I received 300 shares of BITO at an average cost of $17.69. so that increased my position and lowered my average. Bottom line, guys, my average price right now is about $13 with all the dividends and covered calls that I kept selling on this thing, and I am collecting a really nice dividend. So for me, it's a great investment. Now let's talk about new investors to this fund. Should you invest in it? And first of all, I'll tell you right away, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not a financial advice. And the numbers I will present here are straight up, calculations, and also a little bit of thinking on the background. All right. So first of all, let's go back to Bitcoin chart. Now, my projection for Bitcoin to keep either staying flat, maybe there will be a small dip, like over here, like when Coinbase IPO'd, Bitcoin was at 60 some thousand dollars, and then it dropped below 30 over here, and then it rallied again. So we might have something like this, something similar. Bitcoin could drop to like 40, maybe even below. It's this time around it's not so realistic, because now we have Bitcoin ETFs that gobble up a lot of Bitcoin supply, and also the Bitcoin supply itself, we just had a halving. All right, and since like the previous halving we had over here, so and then there was basically 900 new Bitcoins issued every day. But now we only have 450 Bitcoins issued every day, or mined. So the supply has gone down. There's additional demand from all the ETFs. So a drop that we might have in the near future, I don't imagine it will be such steep drop as like over here it was more than 50% from 64 down to below 30. Okay, so if we have a drop, I would say it's going to be about $45,000 to $50,000, maybe 40, and probably then it will start rallying again if we are to repeat this picture right here. Okay, if we don't have a massive drop, maybe it will go down to below 60 again, like it did over here. Like I think it touched 57 at some point and then bounced back. And then on a positive side, we might hit 75, 80, maybe even $100,000 this cycle. And if we listen to super bulls, we might hit 150, 200, $300,000. However, there is a serious possibility of a recession, and if you listen to different sources, there might be a deep recession. Even the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, he is, like everybody's, run to the moon, but he's running the biggest bank in the world essentially, and he's saying that we're likely will have a big recession, and rates will likely go up, and so on and so forth. So I'm not discounting a possibility of a deep recession. So if that happens, guys, I won't be surprised if we go to 25,000 on Bitcoin again. Okay, that is very realistic. So you have to keep that in mind if you want to YOLO or like FOMO into BITO. All right. So what I have been doing, except for exercising my options, I haven't really been buying at the elevated prices. The buy I did was a couple of weeks ago. Let's go to BITO chart right here. Let's look at the price. 1 year. And over here we dipped. I didn't buy at 23. I bought it like around 25-ish. And then when it went up to 28.5. Anyway, so I bought at 25 and I immediately sold a call on my shares out of the money. I don't like to sell at the money calls because the premium is higher, but then like your profit is lower. I don't believe we will have a big drop in Bitcoin anytime soon. So within 6 months, I don't think we'll have a Bitcoin drop. Therefore, I would prefer to keep my shares in the next 6 to 10 months. Now, with my really low average cost, I am not afraid of Bitcoin drop BITO dropping to $10 again. Would I like that? Of course not. I would like it to go to 45. Then I would sell, long dated calls and just sit on them and see what happens. But it is possible. So if that happens, I am not super worried. Like I already have been through this, being down 78% on my shares. It's actually less because of my covered calls, but still, I was down significantly, about 50%, and it wasn't pretty. Like you really need diamond hands or just like be completely degen to hold on to those shares down 80%. But I did. I believe in Bitcoin long term, so I am lucky that I actually started accumulating over here. Not only reinvesting my dividends, but also buying some shares. Not a lot, but still, I got a really good price over here, around like average 14, 15 bucks. I stopped reinvesting my dividends over here in January when it hit 22 bucks. And I probably should have, but I didn't. It doesn't matter. I still sell covered calls every now and then when the price runs up. And I do just willing. I have on the covered calls. I have never been assigned on my calls because I sell them out of the money. So one of the risks of selling covered calls, for example, let's say right now price of BITO is 26 and you sell a $27 call right before a dividend, you will most likely get assigned if the dividend is more than the difference between your strike and the price. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why I sell $3-4 out of the money covered calls, maybe a little bit longer duration, or like right now I have September covered calls at $30 strike. And if I get assigned, it's a nice bonus, about 25% plus dividends that I will collect along the way. And that's on that on the position that I bought for $25. That's on a different brokerage. So anyway, let's look at this. Let's calculate potential profits over a longer term, and we will assume that Bitcoin will remain more or less stable throughout this time. Okay, so if you go to our dividend calculator and you just type in the ticker BITO over here, click load, it loads all the data for this stock. Now, the 545% dividend growth, that's that's not going to happen, guys. That's a year. It's not going to happen. Like, yeah, it went up, but if you think it's going to go to $5, you're I mean, we either get a $1 million Bitcoin very fast, or that's not happening. So on a more realistic note, let's say dividend increase is like 5% per year, okay? And the share price, let's call it stable. Let's call it 0%. Actually, let's say 0 on both of them. And to be more realistic, let's say that dividend averaged out over time, let's say it's like 75 cents, okay? And let's say you invest $10,000 for 10 years, and we'll first calculate without any additional investment monthly. So we calculate, and if you invest 10 grand into the stock, and your average, you know, with all the fluctuations in stock price and in Bitcoin, and sometimes they pay dividends, sometimes they don't pay dividend. Like over here, they paid half a cent dividend. You know, I received like $1 maybe, something stupid. You know. Anyway, so with that in mind, in 10 years you will see it on almost $300,000. And then if you add $100 a month, you will see it on almost $400,000. Okay, now will the price stay stable? We don't know, but I think it's not going to fluctuate too much, meaning that when Bitcoin goes up, the price will likely go up. When Bitcoin goes down, the price will go down. That's the relationship between BITO and Bitcoin. And actually Bitcoin itself is surpassing BITO in returns, but I think that's temporary, especially in my case, because of the dividends. Like BITO actually captures the price movement, some price movement of Bitcoin, and on top of that you get the dividends. And so based on that relationship between Bitcoin and BITO, and add dividends to it, and this is even without selling covered calls, without, you know, option income, I think that returns of BITO will be very close to that of Bitcoin. That's number one. Number two, I think the price will fluctuate with the fluctuation of Bitcoin. Now again, I am assuming the drop of Bitcoin price at some point to $40,000, even maybe $30,000, and then maybe an increase up to $120,000. So it will be volatile. So I would say the price of about $26, maybe just around 30 for the duration of 10 years is realistic. And the average dividend of 75 cents I also think is realistic for this fund. Now again, guys, the secret is keeping it long term. If I chickened out, if I sold over here, I would be down significantly and probably never get back into this. Or maybe if I would get back, it would probably be somewhere around like $20. So I would miss on all that, you know, upside. So, you know, I'm not saying you should invest in it. I'm not saying you should hold this through, you know, significant declines, significant recessions. Maybe you should exercise, you know, smart stop loss strategy. I just didn't. I believe in Bitcoin long term. I believe in crypto, and so I just kept my shares. And as soon as I saw a green light, I started accumulating more. And now we're sitting, you know, I'm on average of $12.30 per share, and I am seeing great future for this fund. I'm really liking it. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on it. Again, it is making money on Bitcoin futures. So you can see here. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is like below 69, and the Bitcoin future is slightly above. Okay, so exactly 69. So Bitcoin futures right now are like $550 premium to the price of Bitcoin. So that's how BITO makes money, and I think they've been doing a pretty decent job so far. I'm actually very happy with the dividends. You can see they're kind of like tapering off. Now, for the dividend to increase, again, we need Bitcoin to rally. If it goes down, the dividends will suffer. But on top of dividends, you can actually sell covered calls with this fund, and let me show you what you could sell it for right now. So basically, guys, if you're worried about the downside, if you're worried that the Bitcoin will take a huge dump, you could protect, and let's say you don't want to sell your shares of BITO, you could protect yourself by selling out of the money or in the money long dated covered calls. So for example, here we're looking at June 2025, so that's 1 year from now, and basically at a strike price of about $30, today you could collect about $3.50 per share. So that's about 12-13% premium, and then you have another, you know, $4 out of the money premium. So even if you get assigned, it's going to be at $4 higher price than it is today. So that's a total income of about $7 on top of today's price, and then you would be collecting some dividends along the way. Now, I actually don't like these numbers too much, partially because Bitcoin has been kind of stable, so the implied volatility on this has actually gone down. You can see over here implied volatility is like 50%. Usually it's higher. And what I like to do is sell cover calls about I would say 1 month, maybe 2 months away. So right now I have September 20th, and implied volatility is slightly better on that. So a $30 call you could sell for $1.50, but that's only like 3 months away. You know, $1.45, $1.50. That's only 3 months away, and you're having a nice upside. So even if it moves up, you're collecting about 12-15%, and then another like 7% you're getting right up front, and then you're getting some dividends along the way. So that's a nice protection for the downside if you're not sure about Bitcoin price action. But I think Bitcoin for the foreseeable future, maybe like 6 to 9 months, will be going up. That's just my opinion. Again, if we have, you know, a black swan event, or if we have like a massive recession begin, then for sure everything will collapse, and having that downside protection would be actually nice. So yeah, if I was to get into BITO right now, I would probably wait a little bit for it to drop maybe to like $24-25 range, and then start selling cover calls out of the money, because I wouldn't want to get assigned right away, but also collect additional income and then collect those dividends. But long term, I think this will be a really nice investment. And over here, even if let's say we collect 50 cents on average, again, this is monthly, guys, 50 cents, that's like almost 50% yield, you know. And if this is sustainable, in 10 years you will have $141,000, and your total investment would actually be like 22 grand. Now this is very linear. It doesn't account for huge dips in the price and huge increases, huge spikes, but overall I think this is pretty realistic, and so I will be implementing this strategy. I like this ETF, and I'm actually liking it more and more. Alright guys, so yeah, this was Leo with DRIPCalc.com. So again, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification button, and in this video I am using our stock research tool, DRIPCalc Pro, and you can sign up for it. We offer a free trial, 2 weeks free trial. You can cancel anytime, and also for our YouTube subscribers we're offering a 30% lifetime discount. So I'll put the link in the description below for the discount, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.